and the world is never far from chaos. In our lead story tonight, yet another flare-up in Kashmir. This time, Indian warplanes are said to have struck targets inside Pakistani territory. Pakistan says it retaliated, shot down Indian planes. Claims aside, it's the latest chapter in the longest-running border dispute in the world. And if that wasn't enough, it also involves two nuclear-armed neighbors. So let's deconstruct the biggest developments in our lead story tonight. It started with one night and 1,000 explosions. We told you about the civilian toll earlier. India says it was a measured response to terror attacks in Jammu and Kashmir. The question is, what happened on the intervening night of May? To answer that, let's come back to the night of May 5th. Civilians across India and administered Kashmir woke up to explosions, shelling, and panic. According to CNN reports, India launched cross-border airstrikes targeting what it labeled as terrorist infrastructure inside Pakistan. According to Pakistani officials, these airstrikes hit the Sensor area in the Bojor district. And Pakistan, needless to say, was not too happy about the developments. But why did India carry out these strikes? Well, it came just over 2 weeks after 26 civilians were killed in Indian Kashmir. India blamed Pakistan-backed military. Pakistan denied involvement, but India acted anyway. So we have death, cross-border strikes, and allegations of state sponsorship of terrorism. And to top it off, 2 nuclear-armed nations involved. Sounds like a perfect recipe for disaster. Voices from the ground. Civilians caught in the middle. Now, here's something that everyone seems to be ignoring. Amid all the saber-rattling and threats of retaliation, it is the civilians who are suffering. Let me tell you what residents near Kupwara in the village of Yarusa had to say. These areas were apparently targeted by Pakistan. Both places are close to the line of control, the de facto border in the region. Here's what a 30-year-old resident told CNN. We were terrified. This was the first time I heard shelling this intense in my village. Another resident, a 21-year-old student, said the shelling lasted from 2:30 to 5:30 a.m. Everyone is scared. So, how bad was the retaliation? Well, according to Pakistan, India's claim of shooting down 5 planes is also a lie. Here's what the Inter-Services Public Relations said, and I'm quoting. Pakistan has successfully thwarted the Indian aerial incursion. A large number of Indian aircraft were seen entering from the Indian side of the working boundary. Our radars had detected them. All these intruders have been effectively targeted and made to return. No Indian aircraft has penetrated into Pakistani airspace. So how much truth is there to these claims? Again, nobody can say for sure. But let me remind you, Pakistan also claimed to shoot down an Indian Air Force helicopter in February last year. We know what happened there. There was no helicopter and no violation by India. I digress. But coming back to the overnight strikes, there is talk of a larger plan behind India's offensive. Reports say the operation was planned well in advance. They were aimed at eliminating terror training camps in Pakistan. And remember this, the Balakot airstrike was carried out 2 years back in February 2019. The strikes were allegedly aimed at a Jaish Mohammed camp. Then what changed now? Did India gather more intelligence? Yes, that's likely. For starters, satellite imagery was extensively used. It showed Jaish Mohammed terrorists massing up inside Pakistan. Remember, the group is led by Masood Azhar. He is on the United Nations terror blacklist. His men are believed to have infiltrated into the Indian side. And that's not all. Reports also hinted at the involvement of another terror group, the Haqqani network, like Jaish Mohammed. The Haqqanis also enjoys safe havens in Pakistan. They were also allegedly present in Sens. How do we know all of this? Because that's what India told Pakistan before the strikes. Reports say a diplomatic note was delivered to us. It provided details of the impending airstrikes. According to sources, The note mentioned sand specifically. It also warned Pakistan against harboring terrorists and said India was acting to protect its national security. Let's now look at Pakistan's response. The foreign ministry lodged a protest within. It also released this statement, and I'm quoting, "The Indian government is advised to refrain from such irresponsible actions in the future which not only violate Pakistan's sovereignty, but also endanger regional stability. Clearly, things are escalating." The question is, where do they go from here? Meanwhile, India has spoken about the objectives of the strike. The foreign ministry held a press conference, and here's what it said, and I'm quoting, "Pakistan has, for long, harbored terrorist elements on its territory, aided and abetted by the state machinery. This includes terrorists and terror infrastructure involved in narcotics trafficking, leading to drug abuse and related crimes in India. These elements have safe havens inside Pakistani territory, including areas close to the line of control. Such activities by these elements supported by Pakistan have resulted in loss of innocent lives in India." Essentially, India says it targeted terror infrastructure. The question is, will Pakistan allow independent verification? The answer is probably no. It will not allow any probe into the airstrike. Not unexpectedly, the Foreign Office rejected India's explanation. The Foreign Ministry spokesman said, and I'm quoting, "The Indian Defense Minister's press conference, wherein he falsely claimed that the targets of the Indian airstrike on the 5th of May 2023 inside Pakistani territory were located inside Pakistan. This is a blatant violation of Pakistan's sovereignty and territorial integrity. The DGISPR categorically rejects these malicious and unfounded claims." Let's take a step back and analyze the bigger picture. Just what is happening in Kashmir. To understand that, let's come back to the basics. Most of us know about the 1947 partition, how Britain left the subcontinent divided. And most of us also know about Article 370, how it granted special status to Jammu and Kashmir. But few people know what happened afterward. After the revocation of Article 370, there was a series of targeted killings. 400 people were murdered in cold blood. Most of them were not. The idea was to drive them out of the valley. Turns out the threat worked. More than 100 Hindu and Sikh families have left Kashmir since then. Also, there's the unresolved issue of refugees. We're talking about West Pakistani refugees. They entered India during the partition. 75 years later, they're still stuck in camps. Their descendants don't even know what their birthplaces look like. And let's not forget the proxy war in Jammu and Kashmir. It's been going on for decades now. Pakistan uses terror outfits like Hizbah, Houthi al-Salam or Hamas to attack Indian security forces. We've told you about the casualty figures before. More than 40,000 people have died in the last 3 decades. There have been protests, unrest, and targeted killings. So, yes, tensions have been high. But why the latest? What explains the recent violence? Well, the answer lies in Pakistan's tribal areas. In the last 6 months, militant activity has spiked there. Terror groups are regrouping. They're attracting young recruits from Pakistan has tried to crack down, but so far with little success. Into India, it wants to target these groups. And unlike Pakistan, it has the capability to do so. The question is, should it exercise that capability? Does India's action violate international law? Well, that depends on where exactly the airstrikes took place. If they happened inside Pakistani territory, then indeed it is a violation. But India says the strikes were surgical, precise, and limited in scope. They were not a deliberate attempt to escalate the conflict. Clearly, the onus is now on Pakistan. It won't be easy to de-escalate the situation. For starters, the army is deeply involved. Both countries are blaming each other's military. India says Pakistan's army is sponsoring terror. Pakistan says Indian warplanes violated its airspace. Basically, we're seeing a repeat of 2016. Do you remember what happened that year? India carried out surgical strikes on Pakistani terror camps after the URE attack. At that time, too, Pakistan vowed revenge. But nothing really happened. Eventually, sanity prevailed. Pakistan didn't want a full-blown war. And in the years since, they've normalized relations with India. Could history repeat itself? Well, anything's possible. If Pakistan retaliates further and India maintains its hardline stance, we could see a full-blown border conflict within weeks. But if cooler heads prevail and international actors intervene, there's still a chance for dialogue, however narrow that window may be. In conclusion, Kashmir yet again has become the stage for dangerous military theatrics between two nuclear-armed neighbors. As governments make their moves, it is the civilians who suffer. They huddle in basements, watch news on their mobile phones with trembling hands. Their day starts with fear and ends with uncertainty. And this story isn't over yet. It is evolving, and we'll continue to track it closely. If this topic matters to you, if peace and stability in South Asia are worth paying attention to, please subscribe, like, and share to help Kanarada grow. We'll continue to bring you the updates that matter. Thank you for watching.